Hey y'all, I'm Dan, and this is Kinfolk, Stories of Community and Connection. Today we're talking all things paws, praise, and purpose with Justin Withrow, co-owner of Follow Our Lead, a dog training and grooming business based right here in Charleston, West Virginia. What started as a way to stay close to home and care for his grandmother quickly became a full-blown mission to help dogs and their humans thrive. Justin shares how he and his wife Cayla built their business, what it really means to train a dog, and how they're working to support other entrepreneurs through their newer initiative, Pups and Pros Collective. From Miko the Husky to community building and canine nutrition, this one's got a little something for every dog lover. Let's dive in. So if you want to give us the nutshell version, Justin, who are you and what do you do?
Sure. So my name's Justin Withrow. Me and my wife, Cayla, we are the owners of Follow Our Lead in Charleston, West Virginia. We started training dogs. I say we, but every time I say we in the next, however long we record, it's mostly Cayla. I like to say that she's the machine that makes this work, and I'm just the arbitrary metal covering on the machine. So she started training about 7 years ago. We both met at Metro 911. Fast forward a couple of years, we had been dating. We had just gotten married, and my grandmother was in a rough spot as far as like dementia goes, and she was really needing around the clock care. So for her to be able to be home more often, we were looking for mostly work from home jobs, things like that, just to keep making ends meet, but still having someone around for grandma while she needed it.
Mm-hmm.
And we had a 4-month-old husky, Miko, at the time, who was a little hellion. We were looking into training, and it's funny. The company she ended up working for, she was originally trying to get me to do a board and train with them. I was like, there is no way I'm paying that much money for somebody to train my dog. That is nonsense. And lo and behold, 7 years later, that's what we do because it works. It was such a good testament. He's 7 years old now, and he's such a good example of what a dog with constant little maintenance, even a very independent breed like a husky, how much they can really thrive with proper training. That's what took all of this off. We started our company about 2 years ago. We've just expanded our services into grooming. We just launched last month a new initiative. My goal is by the end of the year, will be a established 501. It's called Pups and Pros Collective. One of the problems that we had when we left that national brand and started our own company was resources. Like, my God, starting a business, for yourself is a daunting task. We worked out the park for the first 2 years. We just couldn't have. Not only could we not afford, a training space, but we also we didn't have availability to resources as far as funding, construction, and all these things. And that was something we struggled with for a long time and learned the hard way on a lot of routes. But yeah, the whole goal behind that is a large, at its core, a large referral network. But I want to turn it into a system where it has entrepreneurship benefits. So, if you're interested in getting into the pet care industry, whether it's as a breeding kennel, daycare, grooming, training, whatever your interests are, we can help you. Future-wise, we're looking a lot more into nutrition. That's kind of my part of the business is scent work and nutrition. I don't have the patience that my wife does for obedience training, but I do a lot of just consumer awareness, really, with the pet food industry. It's, we had issues with Miko early on, and we didn't realize that a lot of his issues are just the additives that they put in a lot of dog food brands. And it's wildly underregulated, so they can put whatever they want on the label and call it all natural, even though there's synthetics out the wazoo coming out of it.
I know you've talked a little bit on training. You train the dogs, but you also I would say you train the owners as well.
Yeah, so we offer a board and train option. We offer class options, and I always tell people on the phone, I'm probably the worst salesman ever because more often than not, I'm trying to encourage people to take the cheaper option, which is classes. And the reason for that, training dogs is easy generally, but whenever they're allowed to revert back into their old state of running the show themselves, then you get a lot of regression. Clients, they don't really understand why. They think it's an issue with the business, when in reality, it's not that at all. Dogs will be dogs. They're like perpetual 10-year-olds. And especially when you take them to, specific breeds into account, like a bull terrier is going to push his boundaries a lot more than, say, a golden retriever. A golden retriever just wants to please you. We have one, and she will work exclusively on praise. You just tell her she's a good girl, she'll do anything in the world for you. You throw her a ball for you, by God, she'll climb a tree for it. But yeah, it's so much of it is just really educating people, and it's a lot of it seems kind of like daycare almost. We're just educating parents on how to maintain expectations, things like that. It's more often than not, it's just miscommunication. What we see in a dog and what we think that they're thinking and what they're doing might not necessarily be the case. A lot of dogs are misdiagnosed with aggression when a lot of it is just fear reactivity. They're preemptively acting out because they're afraid of a situation. And, we're looking at it in the wrong light. So how do we work through it? And more often than not, we can get over a lot of hurdles, which is confidence building exercises. Once that dog does something simple, to us at least, for them it might be complicated and scary, but once they get that praise and that reward at the whatever they might accomplish, it's leaps and bounds above anything as far as progress goes.
I heard you say boundaries. I know it's a word we often hear a lot with people, setting boundaries. What does it kind of look like to, I guess, set a boundary with like a dog?
Well, the most common one we deal with is jumping. So jumping is a super easy thing to deal with. But the problem is, I always tell people this on the phone, and why we encourage, all of our classes are private sessions. We don't do group classes. We just feel like if you're paying, X number of dollars for our time, you don't deserve 1/10 of our time. And on top of that, dogs are so easily distracted by other dogs too. But yeah, so more often than not, we encourage the whole family to come because dad is usually the one encouraging jumping and mom saying no, things like that.
So me personally, I have a Chihuahua who is 14. I like to say she's well behaved, and she's not like a yipper. She doesn't bark. She doesn't do all the Chihuahua stuff. But one thing I have noticed with her, as I have my own routine throughout the day, it seems like she does as well. Like if I sleep in a little bit later and she's ready for food, she lets me know. Can you talk a little bit about how important routine is when it comes to dogs?
Well, yeah. So myself, I'm very routine oriented. That last job that I'd left to start this business, we were on the old DuPont schedule. So every week you're on nights and day shifts. It's impossible to get into a routine. But with dogs, they know, especially when it's dinner time. Miko, we still struggle with him from time to time because he just knows it's 6, 7 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
I'm about to get dinner. Let's go. And Willow's the same way. In the mornings, she'll lay in her bed at the foot of our bed until the cows come home, if that's what she needs to do. But the second you get out of bed, she is down that hallway and she is ready to go outside. But yeah, they expect, and they really thrive on routines. We offer a puppy class for dogs that are under 5 months old, and so much of it is just exclusive positive reinforcement with a normal routine.
Go ahead and just let listeners know how and where that they can connect with you at.
Yeah, so you can find us online. That's probably the easiest way. It's www.followourlead.dog. It's DOG instead of .com. Or also on Facebook at K9 Lead. FOL was already taken, so we had to go with K9 Lead.
And that will be listed in the show notes. Okay, so I do have just 4 rapid fire questions if you do want to do those.
Sure.
So the first question is, what is your favorite dog breed?
Oh, golden retriever. I'm a little torn on that one. But yeah, there's nothing beats a golden.
So if someone is listening and they think that they're failing at, say, dog owning or training their dog, what is one thing that you would say to them?
So I would really encourage someone to at least reach out and speak to us, whether you want to give us a phone call or a Facebook message. If you're struggling with something, it might be something minor and you don't even know it. Sometimes even the minor things can be super overwhelming. But yeah, just reach out to us. We're not going to charge you about a minute to talk about your dog. We like doing it.
The next one is kind of a follow-up to that, and it is what is the most misunderstood behavior or action that dogs do?
Ooh, charging the fence. I think that is the most commonly misdiagnosed problems with dogs. We see it a lot of independent breeds like Akitas, Huskies, Pit Bulls, things like that. They see somebody, whether it's a dog or a person, and they want to charge the fence, and they're vocal, and they're, automatically you think that dog has severe aggression issues. More often than not, it's not the case. That's another expression of their excitement. They don't know how else, because all they want to do, or sometimes, not all the time, but most of the time, all they want to do is just greet you. They want to play. They're so understimulated that you don't know it even as the owner, that dog's having that issue.
So my last question is, I always like to ask this one: where is your favorite spot in West Virginia?
Oh, that's a tough one because, you don't really appreciate West Virginia as a young adult until you're in your 30s, more often than not. All I ever wanted to do as a teenager and a young adult, I wanted to get the heck out of this state. I think my favorite place, probably Babcock, honestly. There's just something about it. It just goes right back to the roots of the state. And I don't know, it's an awesome place to visit. If you have the opportunity, if you live outside the state, you want to come visit, and everything around Babcock. It's the small community, the small towns, Fayetteville. Oh, I talk Fayetteville up so much. People there just make you feel like you're already a part of the community. And I think that's something the rest of the country's lacking a lot. There's a constant disconnect. But yeah, I think that's what I value more in West Virginia than anything else. That's probably why I like that place so much. It's just, you get that vibe every time you go.
Thanks for tuning into this episode of Kinfolk, Stories of Community and Connection. A huge thanks to Justin from Follow Our Lead for sharing his journey, from wrangling a wild husky pup to launching a business rooted in compassion, boundaries, and better communication between dogs and their humans. You can connect with them at followourlead.dog or on Facebook at Canine Lead. Links are in the episode description. If you're enjoying these conversations, be sure to follow along on Instagram, TikTok, or Facebook, where I share stories about the people, places, and small businesses shaping Appalachia. And as always, if you got a story worth sharing, reach out. I'd love to hear from you. Until next time, stay curious, stay kind, and don't be a stranger. Take care, y'all.